And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have a very serious topic, but one that we are going to handle with care to give us some, and we have two amazing panelists that are going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than Sister Aisha Karriem and Sister Attorney, Sister Sadiyah Karriem. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you all very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast on a Saturday. Both of my sisters, Miriam and Naima, send the greetings. Beautiful. All praise to Allah. Excellent. Thank you all for saying something like that. All right. Now, before we get started, for those who may not know what is going on, I want to start with you, Sister Aisha, because you were the first person I saw on Facebook who was saying, say her name. What is her name? And what made you be so passionate about constantly posting it on social media?
Right. Well, her name is Shanquella Robinson. And I saw the video. I actually saw it like 2 days prior before it went viral. It was just like a random YouTuber who was talking about it. What made me so passionate about it? Well, she's a young Black woman like myself. I'm real weary. Like, I'm actually very, I guess you could say, to myself. Like, I have a lot of siblings, so I've never been real social with like friends and stuff. And so once I saw the story and saw how she was basically, I feel like she was lured there by fake friends, it just kind of added to my testimony of like, see, this is why, this is what I'm talking about. I also, my tolerance for like cattiness and conniving stuff amongst women, especially Black women, is very low, because I feel like that's a problem with us that needs to be addressed. And then I didn't want to watch the whole video, but when I saw the snippet of the video, it really stung me seeing that and just seeing how helpless she was. Like, she wasn't even, it wasn't like she fought back and things went left. The way she wasn't even defending herself, she was very vulnerable. She's literally stark naked. So all those things collectively.
Perfect. All praises.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you very much, Aisha, for being so diligent with your posting about it to bring awareness, because you made me be like, man, all right, this is something that I see every day. Say her name, say her name.
Thank you.
Right? Yes, ma'am. And for you, Attorney Sister Sadiyah Karriem, what was it about the case that struck your eye?
Like Sister Aisha, when I saw it, and I initially heard about the alcohol poisoning in Cabo, Black woman. Of course, that's going to take us by surprise, because here we have a sister who's going out with a group of friends, and she ends up dying overseas. And then a couple of days ago, I actually saw, and I wasn't even looking for the video, I saw the sister just getting brutally beat while she was butt naked. And it baffled me that there was somebody recording it, right? And then to come to find out, there were other people in the room that did not intervene and assisted this young sister. And you could see that she did not want to fight. And then we saw a couple of days ago that the autopsy came out, and they originally tried to say she died by alcohol poisoning, but the autopsy revealed that she died of blunt force trauma to the neck. Her neck was broken and her spine was broken. And the family had been speaking out because they knew the type of personality that their daughter had, and she wasn't a fighter. And so for her to go overseas with fake friends, frenemies, and then to lose her life. So it's a lesson in that for us, especially as Black women, Black people, people, period, about watching and securing your environment and the people that you surround yourself with. But jealousy and envy is real.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. And thank everyone who's showing love all across the country. Please let us know your thoughts on the case. And people saying, Mr. Miriam says heartbreaking and upsetting, and people are, heart in the video. Can't wait to put this on YouTube. For you, Sister Aisha, you said you're weary. So what advice would you give to people? You come from like the Jacksons, 9 of y'all, a whole big family, but many people don't come from a big family. What is some advice you give to people, but specifically young sisters, as far as discerning the spirit or trying to like figure out how to move around people? Because people want friends. Like, we naturally want to be around people. What advice would you give to them?
Right. Yes, that is true. And I am first I want to say I'm aware that, I'm blessed you know, I mean, we're all blessed, but that's one thing coming from a big family. My father would always say, you don't need friends. So it's easy for me to be like, well, I'm not dealing with this. Cause you know, I have 5 brothers, 4 sisters, and we go through what we go through. But that's one good thing about the blessing is there are certain lines that we won't cross, or we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So I am aware that, you know, everybody doesn't have that, you know, doesn't have that dynamic. But what I would say is, first and foremost, you have to love yourself enough. And you may not want to be a loner, or you may not want to be where you don't have a lot of friends, but you have to like be comfortable enough with yourself where if that is the case, then so be it. I also want to say you have to look for like little small signs. I'm not saying that we don't all go through petty stuff and none of us is perfect, but a lot of times people give you little, it's a difference between somebody just doing something because they're human versus somebody giving you a little sign that they don't like you. So if a person is giving little hints, or like, you know, as we say, a lot of times jealousy comes in the form of a joke. Or if you've seen times where they might have got aggressive with you in the past and it was unnecessary, not even physical. Maybe they might have got too nasty with you with their tone, and it might have been like, whoa, kind of unnecessary, you know, kind of out of the blue. Those are little telltale signs you want to look for. Also, I want to say, if you're going to travel with a group of people like that, because apparently she wasn't even friends with all of them. It was only like 1 or 2 of them that she knew. So if you're going to travel like that with a group of people, it needs to be people where y'all all know each other like equally. So it's kind of like a fair, you know, it's a fair outing, or take somebody with you.
Perfect. All praise to Allah. And my sister Naima says, praying for justice for our sister. Absolutely. And speaking of justice for our sister, let's come to Sister Attorney, Sister Sadiyah. What does justice look like in this case as far as the courtroom?
Well, this murder happened on foreign territory. And so initially, the state of, I believe California, for Mexico, Cabo, they were doing their investigation. And now that the autopsy came out, then they can step their investigation. They know that what happened was homicide, a murder. Nowhere was it mentioned about the intoxication or the alcohol poisoning was the cause of her death. So we know that the blunt force trauma to her neck and to her spine was the very reason why she died. Now we have a video to show that what her propensity and personality was, right? She wasn't a fighter, right? She submitted, and that was a very vicious fight. So even if they said it was what you want to say, mutual combat, there was no mutual combat, what we saw. And so now we're dealing with foreign territory, and we're dealing with United States citizen. And after the autopsy came out, then the FBI decided to do their own investigation now. Now it's up to Mexico whether to allow the United States to intervene in this particular murder. But because the assailants are in the United States now, the FBI has a lot of leeway and jurisdiction over the individuals that are in the United States now. What is it going to look like? We legally can't really say what Mexico is going to do, but the United States can do something. But as Sister Aisha say her name, as we continue to spotlight her, say her name, bring attention to this, we know that she will receive justice.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Okay, great. Thank you both for your transparency and honesty, giving us this information. Brother Roosevelt, our brother, thank you very much, sir, for always showing love. Okay, so I'm coming to you, Sister Aisha. One more time, I had a follow-up question for you, Sister Attorney, Sister Sadiyah, because we were dealing with justice. What happens in a case where the family members, what should the family do in this situation?
It's for Sister Aisha, right?
No, this is for you, man.
Oh, okay. Well, the family is doing it.
Okay.
The family has been always at the forefront pushing for an investigation for Mexico to look into this case and for the United States to look into this case. And really what's happened is that this became a grassroots investigation, meaning that it was YouTube, it was Instagram, you know, our people, the netizens, that's what they call us, the netizens, citizens, right? Internet citizens that started doing our own investigation. And so the investigations that we are doing outside of the legal agencies is going to help the legal agencies, because I've saw some videos. I've saw videos of her right before she was assaulted, showing that she did not have a clue about what the lion's den that she was about to walk into. You have individuals who were there. Their stories are very contradictory about where they were. So I'm telling you, social media, the internet, and those who knew her are going to be able to help in investigating and advocating on her behalf. And so, I even looked at her Twitter page, and she was a business owner, and she was a hair braider. She was a beautician, and her clientele were babies, were little girls. So she was servicing these little girls, and they loved her. So this death is not going to go unanswered. Believe that.
Oh, praise to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. All right, great. And thank you, everybody. Continue to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. Okay, back to you, Sister Aisha. Our question for you is the friends recording it and that happening. I know you're big into martial arts based off of your social media, you know what I'm saying, and fighting. How does that impact you as a woman to see a sister who didn't want to fight back, as far as you, or who did not she wanted to, but didn't fight back? That was not her personality. Or somebody like you who's big into fighting, for other sisters to get in self-defense. Is that something you recommend, or what are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, first and foremost, the first thing I just kept thinking was, oh, how I wish I was there. Like, that was seriously what I thought. And that's another suggestion that I would give for any, woman, especially Black women, to get into martial arts. It's not a movie. It really does work. It works wonders. It's not about going around trying to become, the biggest, toughest person. It's about being able to protect yourself, protect your life, and protect people around you. And the great thing about martial arts is one of the top things we learn is basically how to catch on to something negative about to happen or something violent about to happen long before it even gets physical. So like, it even just helps, pick up with your different, instincts and, your intuition and things of that nature. So yeah, when I was watching it, that's all I kept thinking the whole time. Like, I wish I was there, or I wish somebody, who was a skilled fighter was there, or I wish she had taken martial arts. Yeah, that's one of the top reasons why I took it, because of how, as a young Black woman, how you just get it from all angles. People can't wait to get aggressive with you. And, especially, and she was very little. She was little and I'm little. So especially when you fit a certain physique or whatever, it's like imperative. It's not even, it shouldn't even be optional.
Beautiful. All praise to Allah. Okay. Well, Sister Attorney Sadiyah, for you, as far as the people recording, what happens? Can they be prosecuted? Can anything happen to the bystanders?
Absolutely. So, for example, I don't know the specific laws in Mexico, but I'm quite sure they're very similar in the fact that, say, for example, in Texas, we have what's called the law of parties. So you don't necessarily have to be the one who has the gun. You don't have to be the one who was the leader of the actual crime. But if you participated, if you were a bystander, if you encouraged it, if you incited it, which we know that they did, because I heard somebody in the back say, at least fight, at least fight, do something, So, and them recording it, because this was a crime. This was a straight up crime. So they could be responsible to the same degree that the person who committed the actual crime, the person who shot the gun, the person who was fighting, et cetera, et cetera. But I believe that everybody who knew something will be responsible. But also, there's a cover-up that took place, right? Yeah. There was a cover-up because someone before the EMT or the paramedics came for the body, they called the mama, right? And they told the mama that something was wrong, that she had alcohol poison. So they were setting the scene. And so we're talking about accomplice after the fact and accomplice during the fact.
Okay, yes, ma'am. And how much time does that usually, like, based off of what your expertise?
Well, now that the FBI is involved, and the FBI is working with the Mexican law enforcement, we may see something sooner than later. Because we were waiting, I think this happened 2 weeks ago. So we were waiting on the autopsy. Now that we have it and we know what happened. So they've been investigating, interviewing the individuals, the other 6 individuals that went on the trip.
All praise due to Allah. Excellent. Okay, great. And thank you all for watching. We just have 2 more questions for each of our esteemed panelists. Sister Aisha, I wanted to ask you, before we went live, I was speaking to Attorney Sister Sadiyah about respect and protecting the women, but specifically Black women, and the abuse that goes on Black women. On a positive note, what advice would you give to young sisters, about staying positive, knowing the statistics and the reality of Black women being abused and or taken advantage of? Like, what do you tell them how to stay positive when that's the reality?
Right. Well, first and foremost, I want to say that this situation, and not just the one who was physically hitting her, but all of the ones who were involved, they're not a reflection of all Black women. I just want to say that first and foremost, because there's always this, stereotype that we're all like that, or we're all aggressive or combative one way or another, or that the ones of us who fit a certain phenotype is that way. So I want to say, first of all, it's not all of us. I want to say that that you can find, friendship and sisterhood amongst women, Black women, and that there's nothing wrong with being quirky or having like a quirky, silly friend, one who may be not as glamorous. It's nothing wrong with having, because having a lot of times females that are like that, they kind of get left out, or they don't really have a lot of friends because I guess they're not considered like popular enough. Like a lot of females, they only want to be friends with girls who are, popular or glamorous enough. But I want to just encourage you that it's okay to have, you don't have to have a friend that has a certain look or a certain level of popularity. You don't have to be ashamed. You can have a friend who's funny or silly or goofy or quirky, and, a beautiful friendship. So I guess my biggest takeaway is that friendships do exist. Sisterhood does exist amongst Black women. You just have to make sure you're surrounding yourself around those people. And there's nothing wrong with separating yourself from somebody if you notice like, whoa, okay, she's a little aggressive, or, I don't like how she's bossy, or she likes to be pushy. It's nothing. You're not a bad person, or you're not bougie or uppity to, separate yourself from those kind of women. There's nothing wrong with that.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. And thank you very much, Aisha. And for you, Sister Sadiyah, on a large scale, the disrespect and the abuse of the Black women, what advice would you give to women of all ages, but specifically young women? And on a large scale, but also locally and in your family, like just young women, what advice would you give to them as far as like being positive in the face of abuse?
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the Black woman is the most disrespected, neglected, and abused woman on the planet. And, I encourage, there's no compulsion in religion or in Islam, but I encourage the sisters to join on to the Muslim Girl Training General Civilization class, MGT and GCC. Let me tell you why. Because we have a very specific training, right? Not only are we taught, how to cook, how to clean, how to handle our husbands, our children, but we're taught how to act at home and abroad. And part of that training, as Sister Aisha talked about, is self-defense, is being able to protect yourself, protect your family. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan tells us that we do not allow anybody to abuse us, whether it's our husband, our friends, or whoever. We fight like hell. We protect this life because this life is valuable. He also teaches, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also teaches us that a nation can rise no higher than its woman. That means that we are valuable. And because we are so valuable in the sight of God, because we're God's woman, then we know that the reason why the Black woman is the most disrespected, neglected, and abused woman is because we are the key to the kingdom. And so, because if we understood our value and who we are, what we saw with our sister Shanquella in the savageness, and that's because they have lost the knowledge of themselves and is living a beast life. And that was nothing but beastly like activity. And so when I encourage to join the class, what you get an education on who you are, right? And when you know who you are, you have better self-worth. You surround yourself with women who truly love you and will protect you. We close down in the ranks, right? So if there's something nefarious or some ill will against another sister, best to believe we are not going to allow her to be in an environment where somebody could see her butt naked, especially a brother, and fight her. I know in the nation, as a woman, I can't get up and just go freely and travel wherever I want to go with a bunch of group of people. I have to be accountable, not because it's oppressive, but because it's for our security, especially if we're going overseas. So, but the biggest thing is having the knowledge of ourselves and knowing our worth in the sight of God. And so when you have that knowledge, then you walk with a certain confidence, right? You walk with a certain environment. Certain amount of people can only be around you. You're not going to have snakes. And if there are snakes around you, they're going to leave. So what I'm saying is that training and that education that we get in the Nation of Islam, not only as a registered Muslim, but as a member of the MGT class, is so valuable for us because it saves lives.
Beautiful. All praises due to Allah. My sister Miriam said all praises due to Allah. Thank you, everyone who continues to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. Well, on that great note, Sister Attorney Sadiyah Karriem, and to our sister from Pennsylvania, Sister Aisha Karriem, who's continued the great work that you're doing online, the social activism, and making it aware. Because I'm over here posting just jokes and memes, just being funny, engaging about sports or something. It's just Aisha's like, yo, yeah, this is a murder going on. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? so that brings it works. It's effective. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Praise be to Allah. So I want to give you a chance to say Assalamu alaikum, Sister Aisha, and give any closing remarks if you had them.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Well, yeah. So assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me. You know, I really enjoyed this. This was very, educational. I enjoyed the sister that's, here with us. But even though we're talking about something that's unfortunate, the positive thing, I want to say there is some positivity that came out of this. If you look, you'll see how the whole Black community, we doing it through, social media, but the whole Black community is coming together and standing against this. We're not for it. And once again, I want to say majority of Black women are speaking out against this, because once again, there's always this stereotype that we're all like this, or that, Black people don't get along, or that we're all so violent. I don't know if you guys are seeing, like, even mainstream media, Kyrie Irving, A-list basketball player, he donated to the family. A lot of public figures went to the funeral today. So I just want to say that this is a very unfortunate situation, but the beauty is that you do see us all standing together, and it just goes to show that's BS, like the whole stereotype of us being, all of us being violent, and it's just a smaller number of us. But unfortunately, the ones of us who are that ignorant and don't have knowledge of self have the loudest voices. But now we're making our voices heard, and we're all standing up against this. And as you can see, Black Twitter, Black social media, we on their heels, and we're not stopping until this sister gets justice.
That's right.
Beautiful. My sister Miriam says unity. Great. And
Yep.
Sister Attorney, Sister Sadiyah Karriem, your final thoughts, ma'am.
Again, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that a nation can rise no higher than its woman. You teach a man, you teach an individual, you teach a woman, you teach a whole civilization. And she's very valuable. And so, the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was a great work. He says 75% of the work was with the woman. So we have a lot to do in order to reform, to get our minds and our spirits right. But the Black woman has to be protected, right? And so we are the key to the kingdom. And so I just want to thank you, Sister Aisha. We got the same last name. You came from a big family. I got 6 brothers. We both in this fight and this struggle together. And so it's nothing like having a sisterhood and a strong bond, and we cover down and we close the rank for each other. So thank you, Sister Aisha. Thank you, Brother Joshua. Praise be to Allah.
Excellent.
Thank you, sis.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all. And then my sister Miriam says, thank you for this timely conversation. Yes, my sister Miriam was the engine, the bug in my ear. Josh,
thank you, Sister Miriam.
Josh, you gotta do this. You gotta do this. You gotta do this. I'm like, maybe it's a Saturday. I don't feel like it.
You did good. You listen.
She was like, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. All right. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.